Shalom, this is Rabbi Russ Resnick, and I want to raise the question, who is your king today? Who is your king today as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah, continue through the month of Elul? We're focusing on God as our king, which is one of the themes of Rosh Hashanah. So a couple of days ago, I was up in the mountains, up on off of a trail at about 12,000 feet. In fact, I'll show you a photo of me there. And my son, I was hiking with my son, Luke, and he had gone ahead of me. He wanted to go to the peak, which was almost 13,000 feet, and I knew I really didn't have it in me to get all the way up there on that particular day. So I told him to go ahead, and for a few hours, I was all alone on the trail, and I pushed myself to come up to this point where the woods opened up and you could begin to get the view of the ridge off to the side. I won't try to figure out if it's to my right or to my left, but above me, a ridge going above the timberline. And I felt this terrible, fundamental insecurity, smallness, aloneness, even as I felt an awe and an amazement in the midst of God's beautiful creation. It was awesome. It was amazing, to go back to a term that I talked about a couple weeks ago, stirring up radical amazement. And there it was before me, but it was also intimidating, terrifying, profoundly insecure and alone. And it seemed to me at the same time that it was a good thing to experience in the month of Elul, approaching the days of awe, because it was the sense of awe. When I came back, I read this prayer. I read this prayer from the book I mentioned, This is Real and You Are Completely Unprepared. It's actually a prayer, one of the key prayers of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Unatane Tokef. And it concludes, our origin is dust and our end is dust. We spend our life earning bread. We are like a clay vessel, easily broken, like the withering grass, like a fading flower, a passing shadow. And I felt that resemblance, I felt that weakness, that vulnerability, alone on that trail at 12,000 feet, surrounded by the awesome creation of God. A passing shadow, a fugitive cloud, a fleeting breeze, scattering dust, a vanishing dream. But the prayer goes on, you are King, eternal God. Your years have no limit. Your days have no end. Your sublime glory is beyond comprehension. Your mysterious name is beyond explanation. And so even the term king that I've been using, God is our king, is a metaphor, and it's inadequate to express all that we're talking about. But God is king, and king means that there is no power greater than him. The king, God being king, means that there's a power greater than me, greater than us. It's hard for us to grasp in our modern world, our world of democracy, but here's a world of kingship where there's no higher power than God himself, and God is our king. He is a power that invokes awe and brings us to an end to ourselves. So when God is king in our lives, we are loyal to him above all else. And that's my question. Who is your king today? It's not just on Rosh Hashanah, not just on the days of preparation leading up to Rosh Hashanah, but day by day. Who is our king? Who do we acknowledge? Who is our ultimate object of loyalty? Who will we be loyal to? I spoke a few days ago or a couple weeks ago about amazement, as I mentioned, radical amazement, and practicing that every day as a way of preparing for that encounter with God as King, because God as King is amazing. And I talked about keeping a cheshbon, a record, an accounting of amazement day by day. So you can imagine what was in my cheshbon of amazement a couple of days ago as I got back down from the mountains, down off the trail, and wrote in my journal. But we don't need that vision of amazement every day to remember that God is our King and that our loyalty is to Him, not to ourselves, not to a political party, not to a denomination, not to a cause. As subjects of the King, we might become involved in such things, but our ultimate loyalty is always to Him. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, we wonder if we can do that. Can we be loyal daily to that awesome King? And as we'll see as we go into the days ahead, and we'll explore this further, that the King empowers us. The King, the awesome, indescribable, ineffable King, in His mercy and grace empowers us to be loyal to Him. So Rav Shaul, Paul writes in Philippians, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling in the presence of the King, I will add. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who is at work in us, both to will and to do of His own good pleasure. Amen. May it be so.